So, 2 years ago, I talked about how much I absolutely love the 1990s Addams Family movies. And if you're wondering my opinion on the series since they've released a newest installment, I think it's still great. The animated movie had everything I was looking for. It had a lot of fun visuals, an amazing voice cast, and most importantly, it kept all the aspects that we love about the Addams Family intact. I'm just genuinely happy that another generation of people exposed to pop culture are going to get their own variation on the Addams Family, much like I did when I was a kid. That being said, Addams Family Values was better.
It's an Addams.
Addams Family Values picks up exactly where the Addams Family original movie left off, with Uncle Fester sad that he doesn't have someone in his life like how Gomez has Morticia. And honestly, you cannot fault him for that. I've said this before and I'll say it a million times. Gomez and Morticia Addams are the ultimate couple. He eventually finds himself infatuated with the family's new nanny, Debbie, who turns out to be a serial killer known as the Black Widow, who marries rich men, steals their money, and then kills them.
The mistress of disguise, she has eluded the authorities for years. Who is she? And what seemingly innocent pose will she next assume?
However, this being an Addams Family movie, Fester is surprisingly hard to kill, and the rest of the movie is just the family dealing with Debbie's attempt to get him out of the family and take their money. It's really all the description you need.
It's a bomb.
What?
Oh, I know. Wait for my birthday.
This is one of those movies where you see a bunch of reviews for it where it says it's more of the same, but unlike other instances, that's not a bad thing. It's got everything that you expect from the Addams Family. The creepy decor of the mansion is still there. The wacky slapstick and violent tendencies from literally everybody with a pulse in this movie. And with the exception of Grandmama, who was replaced by Carol Kane, the entire original cast is here, and all the characters still have all the qualities that make them lovable. Gomez is still as wide-eyed and wild as ever, still just as in love with Morticia.
You still desire me after all these years? The old ball and chain.
Forever.
I'll get them.
Morticia has some amazing moments where she masks pain as pleasure, especially in the scene where she is giving birth.
Mrs. Addams, would you like anesthesia?
No, thank you. But do ask the children.
Fester finally gets a movie where he doesn't have to pretend to be someone else, and it's all the better for it. He's able to just go full force into it, and we get Christopher Lloyd in what I hoped I would get the first time around.
When he was asleep, I opened his skull and removed his brains. You did?
Both Wednesday and Pugsley get great moments, especially Wednesday, but we'll get into that later.
Mommy kissed Daddy, and the angel told the stork, and the stork flew down from heaven.
Our parents are having a baby, too. They had sex.
And the movie is also notable for having new characters fresh to the series who fit in perfectly. There's, first of all, the newest addition to the Addams Family, Baby Pubert.
Look at him. Too much fun at that reception.
I think this actually may have been a play on that old trope that when a sitcom adds another baby or an extra character, that they have seemingly run out of good ideas, but I think Baby Pubert is a perfect third child. He has all the Addams Family characteristics, from the obsession over the macabre to seemingly supernatural strength. Also the ability to breathe fire, apparently. He's also a baby with a mustache, and that is just the greatest thing in and of itself.
I just want to grab them and squeeze them till there's not a breath left in their tiny little bodies.
The film's antagonist, Debbie, is also really great. I don't think you can watch this movie and not take away from it that Joan Cusack is great at this type of role. She blends in so well with the rest of the cast because she just embraces the chaotic nature of Debbie's character. Debbie is a psychopath, a murderer, a greedy, manipulative monster, and she has absolutely no problem with her environment, which is unusual for literally every other normie character that the Addams family has ever come across.
I'm good with my hands.
It kind of puts a spotlight on the fact that if you take the charm and the wit out of the Addams family and you're just left with what they do in their day-to-day lives, that family is terrifying.
That ring.
It was our mother's. She was buried with it.
The way that this movie plays out is actually way more like a sitcom episode than most other movies based on sitcoms. It has an A plot and a B plot. The A plot is obviously focusing on Uncle Fester and Debbie's relationship, which takes up a lot of the film. But then there's the B plot.
But they want to go. It's all they talked about all morning. They're just afraid to ask you.
Summer camp.
The Addams family going to a summer camp would make the basis for a great episode of the show. So I'm glad that we get to see it here. The scenes with Wednesday in the environment of a cheery, picket fence white, borderline religious summer camp are easily the best bits of this film.
Don't worry. We're getting out of here.
But it's Disney.
Fun fact, The Sound of Music wasn't actually a Disney property until technically last year when Disney bought 20th Century Fox. So now that joke is hilarious. Oh, it also gave us genuinely the most horrific scene in the movie.
You've messed with the natural order!
But like a sitcom, especially The Addams Family, everything has to go back to the status quo at the end, and the perceived wickedness becomes the thing that everybody rallies around in the end.
The gods of my tribe have spoken. They have said, do not trust the pilgrims, especially Sarah Miller.
And after one of the greatest movie speeches in history, Wednesday and a group of fellow anarchists, who by no coincidence are the only people of color at this camp, burn the camp to the ground and presumably eat the counselors. Yeah, it serves you right, jackass. That's what you get for trying to bring back Vigo the Carpathian. Wednesday even gets a nice little romance on the side with the kid who grows up to play Bernard in the Santa Claus movies, so that's fun.
I'll never forget you.
You won't?
You're too weird.
When people compare this movie to the first one, it's always seen as inferior. Some people even consider this to be a failure. And I don't really know how they can do... Oh my god, that box office. But in terms of content, I will say that there are some things that I don't love about this movie. I feel like the background symbolism from the first film, especially about white culture, suburban culture, is way more heavy-handed in this.
Kid has to be extra special to get in here. Gifted. Exceptional. Our Amanda's already skipped 2 grades. How about your boy?
Probation.
Almost every line from a character other than the Addams themselves is meant to put down the snobby rich. This movie really hates the 1%.
We are going to show that anyone, no matter how odd or pale or chubby, can still have a darn good time.
But as a whole, I would say that I love Addams Family Values just as much as I love the Addams Family. There are some lines and scenes that I think are leagues funnier than the last one. Also, some things that I didn't really love about the first film are fixed in this one. Like, there's no pointless mid-movie fights between main characters, and there's way more of a focus on the family itself as opposed to the outside world just talking about how crazy they are.
That poor girl.
And by the time the ending rolls around, I'm loving this just as much as anything else with the Addams Family I've seen.
I don't enjoy hurting anybody. I don't like guns or bombs or electric chairs. But sometimes people just won't listen.
One of the main points that this movie makes is that aside from the greedy, materialistic aspect of her character, Debbie would make an amazing Addams. They clearly don't care that she's killed constantly and even tried to kill Fester.
An axe that takes me back.
Why would they hate her for trying to kill Uncle Fester? Gomez bragged about trying to kill him earlier in the movie. Even when she does her Manhunter slideshow, they're practically crying along with her in total sympathy. And they all understand where she's coming from on everything except the shopping.
Don't I deserve love and jewelry?
All right, we get it. She likes to shop. Thanks for hammering that in every sentence. But it's only natural that the baby is the one that takes her out, since the whole rest of the family is tied up and about to die, which is an oddly familiar thing in the Addams Family. And you knew it was going to end with an electrocution one way or another. I'm just glad it was Debbie. Why would the power from that turn her to ashes, but the shoes wouldn't melt at all? I'm trying to introduce cartoon logic into this. I'm sorry, that's my fault.
But don't you love me? Is that a no?
Like I've said, the best part of any adaptation of the Addams Family is that the more they focus on the family itself, the better it is. And this movie does a lot of that right. I still love this film even on repeated viewings, and I love it just as much as any other entry in this series. I definitely don't see it as a failure in any way except, statistics. But in terms of content, it gave me everything that I wanted from an Addams Family movie. There's murder, there's mayhem, there's comedy, there's zaniness, and there's family. And if you're looking for anything else, you are definitely looking at the wrong franchise. Usually at the end of these videos, I do a little tease where I don't really say what I'm doing full on. Screw that. Next time we're finally watching Dawn of the Dead.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.